Hey, we're live. Okay. Woo! YouTube didn't want me to go live for a little bit, so hang on just one sec. Okay, yay. For a second, I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to go live, so this is very cool. Okay, so today what I wanted to talk about was I wanted to have that lovely discussion about implants and chips. And I wanted to take your questions if you guys have questions about them. I think this is a really important topic for a couple of reasons. It's becoming it's becoming serious. It's becoming something that's happening a lot, and either people aren't aware of it or people don't quite understand it. And so I want to just start from the beginning and sort of go over everything and answer your questions as we go, and just have it be very informal. And yeah. So, all right. So if you're here, say hi. So I know you're here. um, and I did actually make notes. Woo-hoo. So we can kind of stay on task. Okay, so hey Bree, I'm so glad that you joined me. If I knew how to do this in a different format, I would love to have you on with me. But like with the new YouTube stuff, I don't know how to do that because, yeah, I have technological difficulties. So, okay. So the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about implants. That's what the topic of this is, and I want to answer your question. So I think the first question we have to start off with is, what are implants? And why are they important to talk about? So basic stuff. So implants are something that I don't really think has gotten too much press, but I don't know. This is just such a strange thing. I never thought in my life I would be giving a talk about chips and implants. But so implants are little pieces of technology, and technology is like the very large spectrum here, because it's technology that us as humans don't necessarily have, or if we have it, it's not being talked about, or it's technology that is a little kind of sort of beyond what we are now. And like here on Earth, people have talked about chipping, right? They've like, well, in 50 years or whatever, you're just going to be able to view Google from like, a chip in your head or whatever. So like it's been talked about. But the thing is, in my experience, the chips are very real, and they are various technological bits and pieces that are either put into you physically or put into your energy sphere, into your I guess energy is the a way to talk about it. I'm nervous, so just hang in there with me. I'm sure it'll get better as soon as I start talking. So what do chips look like? Okay, so chips in the past, like let's say in the last like 10, 15 years, they've gotten really, really small. So chips and implants, I call them implants. I'm just going to continue calling them implants instead of chips, because to me, they're implant. It's something being put in you or in your energy field. It's an implant. What do they look like? So in the beginning of like chipping people, they were little teeny tiny like pieces of technology, right? And you could, those of you that could feel them or that could see them, or some people had them taken out, you could actually see them. Like you could pull them out. You had to really dig into your skin, and pull them out, but you could pull them out with like a tweezers and you could actually see it. Now, though, it's very different. As we unearth, as our awareness of what's happening and how these chips are working and who's chipping and why they're chipping, and I'll get into all that, is happening, those that are doing the chipping have got to stay ahead of the game if they want to continue chipping. So things have gotten very, very teeny tiny, and they've become harder to detect and harder to take out unless you know exactly what you're doing. And I will tell you a story a little bit later on about the last chipping incident that happened to me and how I handled it. But I was told that because I've learned to take them out myself, and when I can't take them out myself, I have learned to call on like the Arcturian medical ship, call on some other galactic ships, peoples that I know that will help me and scan me and get them out. And that seems really far-fetched for some people, and I totally get it. I totally get it, but just bear with me. But I was just told that they have a brand new type of chip implemented. And because so many people are learning to be aware of their body, be aware of their energy, they can tell when they've gotten implants, that now they have these like booby trap chips. And if you take it out yourself or aren't aware, or harm than good. So an example of this would be when you could say when I had my vertigo episode, you know, whether or not I was chipped, and then after I had them take it out, oh look, my connection's not stable. Ironic. Then I had vertigo as a result. So that would be an example of a booby trap chip. Let me see if I can get some rocks set up here to help stabilize the connection. Okay, so there's different types of chips. There are teeny tiny, smaller than a pin drop chips, and or implants. And there are these implants that look like little octopuses, like little tingly feet. There are other chips that are like little square ones. They basically come in all different shapes and sizes. There's no like, there's no like, this is what a chip is. I mean, those are the ones that I've encountered myself. One time I encountered a chip or an implant that was like a screw. But that's the only time I've ever seen that. So I think from my experience, they come in quite a different variety of sizes. And so the next question is, if you guys have questions, let me know, because yeah. The next question is, now that we know what the chips look like and we know what the implants are, or what the implant description is, we need to know where and why and how and when. Okay, so where are they being put? They're being put either physically in the 3D inside the body. This is how I get most of mine. They're getting put in your etheric field. They are getting put, oh, hi, Kira. They are getting put in your astral field as well. Honey, you can't climb up on there. You have to come over here. And so we need to know, are they good or bad? Well, I'm going to be completely honest. Most of the implants that I've encountered are not implants to help the individual. Now, having said that, are there implants that can help the individual? Yes, there are. And the way that those implants happen is an actual like contractual agreement between a group, a galactic group. You know, you can say, hey, you know, let's say you're talking with the Palladians, right? And they're your buddies, and you're like, hey, I want to channel you guys better, or they come to you and they're like, and you're trusting them, and you're 100% sure it's the actual Palladians, and they're like, hey, we want to hook up a direct channel with you. We could do an implant. Do you accept that? And some people are like, sure, I'll accept that. Other people are like, no. So you really have to determine, you know, if the group is who the group says they are, and vice versa, if you feel like it's a good thing. The other like good thing that implants can be is they can be like medicinal implants or medical health implants. Now, I had one of these as a child, where it's so bizarre to say like my family, my home, because it's not at all what I thought it was. But they had put an implant up here as a medical chip so they could be aware of like being here in human body and these galactic diseases. Let's just call them that, galactic diseases. I know this sounds really strange. That other groups can attempt to infiltrate, you know, the galactic humans and starseeds with on the planet to like take them down or take them out. And so from what I was told, this happened when I was little, and it was in the form of like galactic worms, which we're not going to go into like what that is. You can all use your imaginations. But once they found out, they put a chip in that I was constantly hooked up medical wise, as far as like galactic medical wise, so they could kind of keep tabs, make sure if it did happen again, they could get rid of them and blah, blah, blah. So that is an example of like a good chip, a good medical chip. So does it happen? Yes. Has it happened? Yes. Was it good? In my experience, it was actually good. And it you know, I'm here now, and who knows if I would be if I didn't have that chip. That chip has since gone bad. Like it had problems, and it was causing me a lot of pain because it was malfunctioning. And so they took it out, they replaced it, they put it back in, and then and then we had this discussion of, do I really need the chip anymore? Because I'm at that level now where if I need you guys, I can call on you guys, and I'm kind of hooked up, where when I was younger, I wasn't so hooked up. So I needed you guys to do what was best for me. But now I don't really need the chip, right? So, because that's part of the learning experience. If I had the chip in, I wouldn't have to learn to feel and be aware of my energetic self and be aware of new things that get put in, because then they could take care of it all for me. So we don't have that. I don't have that chip in anymore. So that's like the good chips. And I want to say that I'm guessing here from experience and from all the other people that I've dealt with and talked to, that there's probably more not so great chips that are put in without people's awareness or without people's acceptance. And so there was some, so like I'm up on these galactic laws and stuff, things that get changed with like the galactic councils and like Earth and stuff. And I get caught up on those things, and I get informed of like what's going on. And they actually had such an issue with it, with chips being put into, or implants being put into humans on Earth, that there was a brand new galactic Earth law that was made probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And the law, now I'm not saying all groups follow the law, because we have laws here, but does everybody follow them? No. But there would be consequences. Let's say like they caught whatever group that was like implanting without permission, you know, there would be consequences. The other worlds, and the other planets and stuff, they do work a little bit like Earth. So it's not like, you know, it's not like all craziness and different. And so the new laws state that, Bree says, I've heard of beneficial implants to assist people in clear channeling and third eye abilities. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about with the channeling. Now I have a story about that too, but let me get through this first. So the new laws that went into effect are as follows. If you're requesting an implant, or if you're requesting a DNA infusion, you have to be kind of told like what this all entails. You can't just say, oh, I would like an implant, or I would like a DNA infusion. and then have it just given to you. It doesn't really work that way. Like, you have to accept it. You have to be told like what's all entailed with it, and you have to give your permission. So those things have to be met. And as long as those things are met and agreed with between the different groups, you can get the implant or the DNA infusion. Now, like I said, I don't know very many people who actually have channeling implants. I think I know one person in my world that accepted a channeling implant, and I think, and the funny thing is, I think it was from the Fendorians that this person accepted this channeling implant, which is really funny because just like any sort of group here on Earth, right? Any organization. So we have, let's just say, the only thing I can think of is those who are very patriotic, right? And then those who are maybe not so patriotic. Even though they're in the same group of people, they have different ideas of what patriotism is. Okay, so you have those things in the different galactic groups as well. So, and what happened, one of my experiences, what happened was I woke up, I had a horrible night. I woke up and I had, the first thing that I felt was like burning. I felt burning in my wrist and a tingling. And like you would think it would dawn on me, but you have to remember, I'm still like putting all this stuff together. And at the time I was still trying to figure out, how does it work? How do you know when you've been in all this stuff? So I was still trying to figure it out. I woke up with scratches all over my arms. It actually went all the way up around, yeah, right? We could talk about DNA infusions on a whole brand new one. I totally agree about this, Brie. So it went all the way around my neck, and I had these scratches. And I actually, throughout my whole process, you guys, I've taken pictures of all this stuff. So like when I talk about this, I was thinking about this last night. I can't show you the pictures now because we're on live, but I should make a slideshow of all my bizarre like implant pictures so you guys can see what they look like all my bizarre scratches. Okay. So I had these scratches. I had this burning sensation in my wrist, and it was really, really red. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. And so I asked my team, and when I say I asked my team, I did it, telepathically. I just used my thoughts, and I said, "Hey guys, what's going on? What happened? Did I get implanted? Like it feels like an implant." And they're like, "Yes, you did." And then I said, "Well, who implanted me?" Because I obviously fought. And then they said, you didn't fight as much as you think you fought. And I was like, no, like I remember last night fighting, and I don't know why I was fighting, but I'm pretty sure I was fighting about this implant. And they said you were fighting for a different reason. And I was like, okay, so who implanted me? And they said a rogue Fendorian ship implanted you. I was like, what does that mean? Like Fendorians, for those of you who don't know, Fendorians are actually, from what I know about them, they're a pretty chill, like loving group. But then when they say rogue Fendorians, and the fact that I was never actually asked about this, it brings up kind of questions. And so then I had a channeling meeting a couple days later, and I asked about the scratches, and they said that that's what you were fighting. There was like, I hate using like positive, negative, good and bad. Like that's not, I hate doing that, but I'm going to do it. So there was, they were working together. There was a group of like negative reptilians coming in, and what they do is they scratch you. The scratches are actually marks, and they leave the scratches according to what all of your abilities are. So the others can see. Now, what that means in the 3D, I'm not really sure. I mean, I know that like holographically and stuff, like people do, like I can sense when things are around and in the room. And so I asked about this ship, and I said, I know that I wouldn't have given my permission because I don't like implants. Like, I'm just going to say it, like, I'm not a big fan of implants. I'm not a big fan of DNA infusions. Not that they're bad, it's just not really my thing. Have I had DNA infusions? yeah, like I was kind of really ill once and I had a DNA infusion and it really helped. I like I get, I don't get DNA infusions. I get like galactic medicine. That's a whole other topic. I know I'm like, God, this seems so weird talking about this, but this is my life because if you go to the doctor, they don't know what's going on, right? So you have to like get in touch with your actual family and stuff like that because they're the only ones that know because doctors don't know. So anyway, they asked they were able to connect with the Fendorian ship, and the rogue Fendorian ship was like, yeah, she said that she accepted it because she was going to help us channel. We were going to be a direct channel for her and to her to help the humans of Earth learn more about us and that we're not as bad as people assume we are because we're a rogue group. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't really think that is me. So I took it out, and after I took it out, everything kind of went back to normal. So now, like the other reasons, let's do the flip side of why you would get implanted or you would get chipped. The other reasons would be because it's a tracking device, and this gets into a whole bunch of conversations. A tracking device, it's a DNA tracker. It's an ET channeling device. So I would say, my chipping wasn't such a great chipping. Like that was not a negative chipping, but it just wasn't something I agreed to. So emotional manipulation, health manipulation. So anything good, they can also chip it, depending on who's chipping who, can use it for reverse reasons. Also to override your general self. Like I'm not really sure if there's probably a better way to say that, but to override your general thought process, to override your general actions, and then also to turn on and off switches. So what I mean by that is turning on and off switches is very much like a super soldier program implant, where those people that are love chipped, love bitten, we actually call it love bitten, like my twin and I were love bitten, is that they have complete control over one of the people. Well, in the example of the switches, it's an implant where they have complete control over one or the other person. So that's why a lot of twin flames are like, one person's like, I love you so much, but I just don't know why this is happening. Like, I don't know why I just can't like shape up and we can be together. And then when you like talk to the twin and you're like pouring out your heart and like the twin's running away, even though he doesn't want to run away, that's what I call flipping the switch off. And most of the time they have the switch flipped off. But there are certain times where the twin, either or twin, because it can happen, it can happen to both, can override that implant and override that switch. And in my personal experience with this, my twin overrode the chip that was put in only because he was so stressed out. Like what short story, what happened was after I had gotten engaged, and like the twin and I were still hanging out and best of friends. We were actually doing like a lot of the wedding planning because the groom didn't want to do it. And you could totally tell it was eating away at the twin, and he was just breaking down, and he had so much emotion and so much so much love that he actually was able to switch off that switch. So then he was able to like pour his heart out to me. But they do that in a reason. They put those switch implants in because if twin flames get together, the ones that are in the SSP program, if they get together, then all of the SSP memories can be switched back on, and they can remember all this stuff. And it's for their own it's for the safety of the secret program and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of different types of why they would put why they would put these implants in. And how they're used and how they connect to your nervous systems or what parts of your body they connect to. Because when they put them in, and you're probably asking, like, how do they actually put the implant in? We'll get to that in a second. But when they put the implant in, depending on what the purpose of the implant is, it actually connects into your body. Like it will connect to your nerves. It will connect however it needs to connect. It's like an artificial intelligence, right? And so that's the other thing we're going to get to, like, who puts these in. Various galactic groups, galactic organizations, AI, they can be Super Soldier Program, SSP. They can even be energy workers who say that they're working for the light and they have a big massive following, and you have an energy meeting with them, and next thing you know, like, you're not feeling so hot. And so, like, I've seen all of this. I have stories for all of it. And so even you have to be careful. This is one of the reasons I'm doing this. As humans, being in a human body, as light workers, as warriors, as starseeds, whatever you classify yourself as a community, we have to get better with recognizing energy, really understanding it, understanding ourselves and how we work, so we can recognize when we have these implants, recognize how we work versus what happens when an implant or a chip gets put in, and how it changes us and things like that. And that's why I'm doing this, because we need to get this information out there, and not many people are willing to talk about it. And I've had so many experiences and stories with it that I've been on a crash course for years learning about chipping and implants and AI and all this stuff. And so nobody has, Bree's got really awesome questions. I appreciate it. Nobody else has any questions yet. Okay, so the DNA tracking. So there are families, whether or not they're like completely human, or they are have ET DNA, galactic DNA. There are organizations on Earth and off Earth that are tracking to see how the new DNA codes are doing that they've put into the human population. And it's not necessarily per se like a negative thing. It's like a scientific thing for the most part. Sometimes if you belong to a specific family, it's a little bit different story, where they're specifically tracking, one family DNA code throughout the centuries or throughout the years. And it can happen to normal humans, just to see like how like, say we, but how the DNA structure has been tweaked for the humans versus like a galactic human coming in. So it's two different scenarios as to why whatever groups would want to follow your DNA patternings, and get some scientific data off that. And a lot of times it's whole families that are functioning this way with chips. And sometimes it's not even just chips or implants. Sometimes I know of 2 families that all got sick at the same time. And all of a sudden they have like 4 or 5 days just missing. And I believe that in those 4 or 5 days, the reason that they got sick was so they could do a checkup on them. And just like the Super Soldier programs, where they can take you, they can like, how they like beam me up, Scotty, which is kind of ridiculous. But like they can actually take you from one site to another. It's all about technology. And then they can do like their exams and whatever they need to do on you. Now, the physical portion of like people being abducted, there's reasons why this has stopped. So back when Eisenhower was president, this is like, I'm going to briefly go into the story. I've talked about it a little bit. But you guys have all heard of Betty, and I can't think of who the other person's name was. Like a B and a B. Betty and somebody else. But back then, so like in the 40s, 50s ish, I believe, is when this all started. There was a group of Palladians that came to the president and was like, "Hey, we want to help you guys. Like, we can kind of see where this whole thing is going, and let us help you. You know, we want to do it." And the president was like, I don't know. Let's like hang out. I'm not really sure we should do this. And they're like, okay, we'll let you guys think it out. But whatever you do, don't rush into any other galactic treaties with any other groups, because it may not be what you think it is. So come to find out that on other timelines, the Zeta Reticuli, or the Greys, which everybody's like, oh, Greys, right? They're scary. They're actually us from a very future timeline, but you know how everybody right now is not really in touch with their emotions, and everybody's upset about everything, but they're forgetting how to show love and stuff like that. Hey, Tara. That's what happened further down the line with the Greys, and they were unable to procreate, and their civilization, which is us, was pretty much dying out. And so in order to fix this, they had to come back, because there's no such thing as like regular time, right? Like there's no such thing as time, present time, past time. It's all one thing. So they had to come back, and they had to get permission to come and get some of the human DNA to restructure their groups, their civilization. And so in turn they were like, okay, Mr. President, like, this is what we have to do. Our civilization is dying out, which is actually you in a future civilization. Our demands are pretty simple. You let us come and take the DNA that we need, and we will give you guys all sorts of technological information. See, we help each other. It's all good, right? Okay. So they also said that you don't have to worry, because the people that we're going to take the DNA from have already agreed in the future timelines to go back to their old selves on this timeline to take the DNA. So it's all good. Okay. So we made a deal, and we're like, okay, sure, you give us all this technology, and we will let you guys have so many people, that you can take the DNA from, but you can't hurt them, right? And it's got to be really inconspicuous. So the problem was, in the beginning when this all happened, like with the Betty and Barney, that's who it is. In the beginning when this all happened, you have to remember that the Greys, the Zeta Reticuli, had lost like all sense of feeling, of love, of like, so to them, they didn't understand that some of these machines that they had to like get this stuff that they needed were really painful to us humans, because we were still we're still in touch with our feelings and our emotions and things like that. And so as the years progressed, their technology progressed, and they were able to get what they needed where it wasn't hurting the humans anymore, except this little thing happened where they gave us the humans all this technological information that they didn't think we were smart enough to decode. But humans are pretty smart, and they keep going. Like they won't be beat. They will keep trucking, and and that's something that's special about the human race. They just don't give up. They're fighters. And so we figured it out, and they were like, whoa, wait a minute. We've held on to our contractual agreement. We've only taken so many people. But you guys went above and beyond. Now you have all this information, and we feel like we need more people. We need more people, and the government's like, no, that's not really how it works. And they're like, screw you, we're going to take as many as we want. So long story short, they actually we raised the vibration enough and we put in enough laws and enough like grids and stuff that this stopped. And they actually, their civilization is back up and going now, and they've changed so much. Like they have different names now, and you wouldn't even be able to recognize them from that, you know, prehistoric time of being Zeta Reticuli on that timeline. And so this is where like people are like, oh, I was being chipped, but you may be chipped because they're following the DNA and comparing it to the DNA that they took versus like what's happening now in their galactic group. So hopefully that explains that long story. All right, so hey guys, Tara, Bree, Amazing Grace says, my grandmother had a strange raised circle near the top of her ear connected to her temple. I remember her saying it only bothered her after ships came to bug her. It was like 25 years ago. Yep, that is an implant. Perfect. That is a perfect example of an implant. The raised circle, and see what happens is, especially for myself, whenever I get an implant, my body doesn't take kindly to them. So I'm very good at feeling them. I'm very good at seeing them. In fact, I just sent Brie a picture where I had 3 of them in my hands, and I'll get to that story in a little bit. But you could actually see the humps. And so for some people, it's very obvious where they have been implanted. And for other people, it's not. And I'm going to hopefully share a trick with you guys later in how we can start using our energy to be more aware of ourselves, so we can start knowing when something is kind of not quite right. Okay, so that brings us to how do you know that you've been implanted, which is actually a really good segue. So thank you, Amazing Grace. Okay, so I love you too. All right, so how do you know that you've been implanted? So this is the big question, because I think there's probably millions and millions and millions of people walking around with implants. And it's not just like, chances are normal humans, unless it's a special, you know, upgraded DNA code that they just put in like the normal humans, those really aren't the ones that are those aren't the ones that are sought after. Those aren't the ones that are going to get the chips or the implants. It's going to be the people that, let's see where that was done. That's really funny. I thought I wrote that down. It's going to be the people that are the warriors, okay, that are the light workers. It's going to be the galactic humans that are here that have crazy missions that carry so much light. Like, oh, you guys watching? That's you, okay? That carry so much light that you can really make a difference in this world. Those are the people that are going to get the chips. It's the people that can heal other people, that are legit energy worker healers. They're going to try and mess with those people. It's the people that have something that needs to be tracked. Or let's just say you are a amazing, lovable person, and and just by your being here, you shine so much light. And like every person you come in contact with, I mean, that's why they call us empaths, right? Light workers. Every person you come in contact with, you share a little bit of your light with them. You don't even have to talk to them. Like in a lot of negative agenda groups, that would be reason enough to implant you, so they can work with your energy and, you know, switch it off, or they can make you feel ill, or they can make you feel sad, or they can, you know. And so sometimes I think that it's not maybe just chips or implants, but that's why they say, like, when us light workers especially the warrior light workers, why we have it so difficult and we have all these tasks in front of us. They're put there, whether they're a chip or not, to keep us down. And so we have to figure out how to keep rising above that. And it's not easy. Like, that's why it takes the warrior spirit to do those things, right? So how do you know that you've been implanted? So first off, you can feel it. Now, the only way that you can feel it is if you're aware of your energy around your body. And one way to do that, and this, I'm going to do this, I think I'm going to do this right now. So what I want you guys to do, and I'm going to do it with you, is a really great example of how you can become aware of your seeing inside. You know, like when they talk about medical medium people who can like see inside your body. I'm just reading what Bree says. Great explanations. Talking about this stuff is the only way we can help begin to address it as a human collective, as a sentient species. Thanks. Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. And just by making you guys aware, like, you know, that's part of the solution, is making you guys aware and making you feel comfortable that you can come and ask questions, so we can get everybody on the same page. And everybody's going to probably handle it differently, and that's great. I mean, that's what makes us, you know, that's what makes us a community. But if you don't really know about this, or like something's there but you're not sure what it was, sometimes you just need that little that little door open to get you guys in, to be like, oh yeah, that's what it is, you know? Okay, so this is what I want you to do. For a while, I was studying on like becoming a medical medium and a psychic surgery person, right? And I do this on myself. I've only done psychic surgery on one other person, but this is how I taught myself how to do it. So the first thing is, you're going to look at your hand. Okay, so here's my hand. I'm going to look at my hand. I can physically see, you know, like the lines in my hand. I can physically see my ring. I can physically see how my hand looks. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to use my third eye to just imagine my hand there. So let's all do this together. It seems crazy, but just bear with me. So you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to sense the energy of your hand. Okay, you're going to sense what your energy feels like when you clench all your fingers together. You can kind of feel the difference in your energy. You can see, if you use your third eye and you say like, okay, hey, third eye, it's time to wake up now. Like we need to actually see the outline of our hand energetically, or however we want to see it, but we want to see what our hand looks like there. So if you don't see your hand, if you're concentrating, move it a little bit closer, okay? Move it a little bit closer until you can see it with your eyes closed. So this is the first step, and you guys can practice this. If you just practice with your hands alone, and you can now see the outline of your hand, and you can now feel the energy of your hand, try moving your hand back. Once you can see with your third eye your hand and feel the energy of your hand, and you know what your hand's energy feels like, move back. Okay. Once you've gotten that figured out, if you can have somebody help you with like a person, you can do this with a person. You could do this with a cat, with your pet. The next thing to do is that's the first layer. So the next layer is you're gonna hold your hand in front of you, and you're going to imagine how your hand is working inside. You're gonna imagine, if you strip your skin off, what are you gonna see? Okay. And so this is the next step. And imagination is the first step in actually truly seeing. That's what I believe. So now you're looking at it and you're seeing, you know, like you're seeing your big muscle here. You're seeing like how, you know, your tendons and your bones, you're seeing all this. So same thing. If you can't see it here, do it here and work your way back. Okay. So this is exactly how I learned to do this. And as soon as you do it with your hand, try a different body part, try an arm, try a pet, try a friend that's going to work with you. Eventually, if you do this enough, you're going to be able, you're going to train your third eye it's not really training. I think it's more remembering how to see the energy. See, you strip things away. What do you need to strip away? Do you need to strip the skin away to see? Do you need to, strip the tendons and the muscles away to see just the bone? And this is how, for myself, this is how the medical mediumship kind of works. Now you can use that to know when you've been chipped. And if you can't see it, but you can feel it, let's just say like with the chips that I had in my hand, okay? You can hold your hand up and you can say, okay, team, guides, ancestors, angels, I need to see what happened. Like I can't physically see them, but I need to see them with my third eye. And then all of a sudden you should see however they want to show it to you. Like for me, it was just like a round circle with a black energy thing that showed me exactly where they were. And when I opened my eyes, I had physically ballooned them up. So you could actually see the 3 that were implanted in my hand. Now you can do that for other things too. You don't even have to see what. Eventually you're going to say, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm focusing, I can see my back. Okay, I can see my spine. I can see the energy in there. Is there anything that's blocking my energy? Same thing with the whole chakra thing. Is there any implants in there? And like, hang on, let me just, okay, no. I was like, oh my gosh, I have an implant, but no, it's a scar. It's a scar from an implant. Okay, so like if I had an implant, my implant, just because this is how I've trained myself, my implant shows up as a black energetic speck, depending on the type of implant. And so that's how you can see it. That's how you can feel it. That's how you can sense it. Okay, so hopefully you guys can just practice this. I mean, make it fun, right? It can be really fun. You can practice on yourself, practice on other people. Also, another thing, a big thing for me, is that a lot of times when groups or galactic groups or government groups and whatever, secret galactic government groups implant me for whatever reason, I can feel it. It tingles because they're not calibrated. So basically what happens is when an implant goes in and they put them in either physically, because it's an energetic transfer. So it's hard for us to imagine in the human perspective an energetic transfer turning physical. But that's the best way I can describe it, especially when it's on a 3D to 3D basis. Now, they can put them in when you're sleeping, and then I'm not sure, because I've never actually physically seen them put anything in while I was sleeping. I had one experience where I was sleeping and I woke up and they had given me some sort of serum or something, and so I couldn't move. I was paralyzed, but I was like, stay calm. You can break this. Like you're strong enough. You can break this. All you have to do is tell your brain that you can move and you can break this, and you're overpowering whatever they did to you. And I just happened to look up, and there was 4 large gray beings. It was actually 1 large gray being and like 3 smaller ones standing around my bed. And so I did physically see that. And the energy imprint that I got from that was that it was an implant. It's not like they were checking up on me to be like, oh, hey, I hope she's doing well. It was an implant, but I didn't physically see them putting the implant in. So it's all done energetically, but it's done in a way that can affect your physical 3D. And I know that science isn't that far yet. So unfortunately, I can't describe it to you probably as clearly as I would like to, but I will give you a story. I'll give you an experience that just happened to me. Just literally happened to me this week. And Bree knows about it because I've been in contact with Bree and I sent her pictures and I was like, you're not going to believe this. So we're constantly, as light workers, we're constantly being put through tests. And right now, remember how I said, if you watch the other video that we did, there's going to be this division between the real light workers who are really in it for the long haul. And they're willing to work, they're willing to go through, the dark tunnels with their torch to learn and to become wiser. And then you're going to have these other light workers who are just happy playing in their little playground. And you're going to see this division. So what's happening now with a lot of us light workers is we're being tested. And it's more, I don't know if it's like tested, I think there's probably a little both, like tested to learn to become wiser, tested to learn to believe in yourself, tested to just see like how, in my case, how dumb I am, that I knew that I should have listened. And I knew it was a totally legit thing, but I didn't listen because I'm stubborn. So maybe how stubborn you are, you've learned all this stuff. We've taught it to you numerous times. Are you still going to be stubborn? Yes, I was stubborn. So what happened was I was sitting in the kitchen and I was doing emails, I was doing work, and all of a sudden the energy changed, complete energy changed. I jumped in my 3D, I jumped into a different plane or a different dimension. And I heard my team loud and clear all at the same time. It was like 6 voices all together. They said, do not open that door. Do not touch him. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And as soon as they said that, the doorbell rang, the front doorbell rang. And I was like, you guys, seriously, it's probably the mailman. Not a big deal. Like, we're a business. We get packages delivered every day. Again, they said it all at the same time. Don't open that door. Don't touch him. And it got weirder. The energy got weirder the closer I got to the front door. And I saw this person standing there. Now, this has happened to me a few times. The last time they sent a physical 3D person to my home, they did, and I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are. It was this guy who was completely alien. Like, they did a really crappy job at dressing him up as a human. He was completely white. Like, he was a cross between, do you know Rocky from Rocky Horror Picture Show? It was a cross between him and then, the butler guy, the hunched over guy with like the white hair and the sunken in cheekbones. It was a cross between those two. And he was so alien. And I opened the door and he wanted to come in and I didn't let him in. And he goes, I'm here to talk about your cable. And I was like, nice try. We don't have cable. And I slammed the door in his face. And that was it. This time, however, it was a little different. So I opened the door just a crack and I peek out and I see this kid. He wasn't a kid. He was like a young adult. And I could tell right away that he was human, but he wasn't human. And so my brain, and this is all happening in a matter of seconds, and my brain is trying to process all of this. And I knew he was either a walk-in or I knew that he had been compromised, which would have been like, compromised it could have been many things. It could have been like a switch that they flipped that they then had control of him. It could have been like entity jumped into him to like ET entity jumped into him to like, because that to them that's considered a mission. Okay, so it could have been many things. So I'm staring at this guy, and I look in his eyes, and I could totally tell, like just by looking in his eyes, I knew that it was almost like he didn't have a soul. It was really weird. So I knew that even though I said in my brain, I was like, oh, kudos, you guys did better. He looks very human. And he's like, hey, I'm here to give you a deal on bug stuff. Like, all your neighbors have signed up for this bug pest control. So I'm kind of sort of listening to him. And my brain is going a mile a minute because I'm in a different, like I'm kind of sort of hooked up to my team. My brain is going a mile a minute. I'm in a different dimension, in a different energy. the energy is very heavy. And I look at his clipboard and I'm thinking to myself, okay, pay attention to everything. So I look at his clipboard and it was so ridiculous. It was like somebody went to Google and printed off little pictures of like bugs, you know, like bees and ants and stuff. And he said specifically, we're after the bees and the ants. And I was thinking to myself, okay, you're after bees and you're after ants. And then I looked at his shirt because I think he read my my thoughts. And I looked at his shirt, and I don't remember, Bree, what the shirt said. But anyway, he goes, "I'm not working for this company today." It was all very bizarre. And so I'm standing by the door. I won't let him like into the house. I won't crack the door open anymore. And I'm not really paying attention to my team at this point. And I knew I wasn't going to shake his hand. So what does he do? I kind of had my hands like behind me a little bit. He reaches and grabbed my hand, like goes boom, and grabbed my hand out. And as soon as he grabbed my hand, I felt like an electric shock. And I knew right away I had been implanted. And this may seem really ridiculous, but for certain light workers, this is something that's actually happening now because, and I'll explain why. Because as we progress, as we down here, humans, progress at learning how to protect ourselves from these implants with our team and our guides and God and all that, you know, like, so my team has specifically done specific things. I'm just going to put it that way, to help. So they get notified if I get an implant, or that, you know, I really can't get like an energetic or etheric implant. So the people, the groups that want to implant you for whatever reason, mine was most likely to just mess with my emotions, to keep me down and depressed and like blah, blah, blah. So I can't be the lovely, you know, beacon that I'm supposed to be. And so the only way to do it for some of us light workers is to do it a 3D. And it's an energy transfer that become physical in a way that I could feel and see them. And I had this happen one other time where we were at a flea market and we were walking around and it was just people to people, shoulder to shoulder. And I bumped into somebody. It was like they purposely bumped into me, and I knew it. I knew right there that I had been chipped. And as ridiculous as this sounds, like, it's just once you realize how this happens, or once you're able to feel it, once you know why you would be a target, then you can better understand like when this happens, and then just get them out, pull them out right. Like, for the ones that came in my hand, the first thing I did is I tried to shut them down, and I tried to take them apart, enough that they couldn't energetically piece them back together. But I couldn't do these by myself. I had to get help, and so I had to get some of my galactic buddies to take them out for me. And I have pictures of all this stuff. So as crazy as it seems, like, I've been documenting this, and it's just a part of life of a warrior light worker. And we need to become better as a community to share our experiences, so together we can help each other and we can take care of each other. And I think that it's so important to do. And so, we talked about that. We talked about, so how do you remove them? I mean, we kind of sort of touched on this. Let's just go over it one more time. I think the best way to remove them, for you guys to start removing them, is you have to first start knowing that this happened, and you have to feel it. So you need to be aware of your energy, of your personal energy. And that's going to take some time, because you're going to have to sit with yourself, and you're going to have to close your eyes, and you're going to have to feel yourself. And you're going to have to know what your energy feels like. And you're going to have to be able to use your third eye to see into your energetic wavelengths, whether you're seeing into your aura, or now, like, I know that some of these implants can be like etherical in your various energy fields. I personally have not really dealt with that. I've always dealt with very physical 3D implants. And so I'm not really the person to talk about like the etherical stuff, but for physical 3D stuff, start with this thing that I taught you guys, and then ask your body, ask your team to help you see them, whatever body part you're concentrating on. After you see them, see, this is the thing, like you work with your angels, you work with your guides, you work with your teams, and then if all else fails, like everybody is always listening to you, especially us light workers, because we're always hooked up upstairs to our galactic families, to different galactic groups. And so all you need to do is you need to either physically or mentally say, and you have to believe what you say, because otherwise, if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. Say that you need to get in contact with an Arcturian medical ship and have them scan you, because a lot of times, if you get in contact with like a channeler who you trust, who can then connect to, you know, galactic groups, which is sometimes how you have to do it until you learn that it's within you the whole time and you can totally do it. It's just a matter of trusting yourself. And so they usually like to scan you first, and you can even do this, like I do this in bed sometimes. I will specifically say, I haven't had a scan in a while. This is like, I say it telepathically. I haven't had a scan in a while. Can you guys please scan me and remove any foreign objects? Because you know, sometimes it's more than just implants and chips. It can be other things as well. Move any foreign objects that no longer serve my highest good, type of thing. And so I think if we can learn to do this as a community, not only will it connect each and every one of you to your individual groups and guides and teams that are there to work with you, and they're just begging you guys to notice them and to notice the signs that they're sending, but I think it will make us a stronger community together, and then we can help each other as well. In fact, I just had a client who actually, the client had purchased a past life reading, but when he was discussing all these things that he wanted to know, because right, sometimes people who are brand new to the readings, they have so many things that have been on their plate for so long, they list them all, and then your teams and your guides and yourself, they and you just pick out the most important ones that are affecting this person in this now. And it actually turns out that so this person was having problems with like mood swings. This person was having problems with a temper. This person was having problems with not wanting to be alone. And also anxiety amongst crowds. And while this is all like normal light worker stuff, you know, anxiety amongst crowds and feeling awkward being alone, because like for me, I don't really feel like I'm ever alone. I always have people chilling with me, you know? And so I can understand that in a light worker way, but when I started talking to Archangel Michael, not Michael Jackson, Archangel Michael, and I started flipping cards, and we were having this conversation. And I was like, "You're kidding me?" And he's like, "No, really. He's chipped." And I was like, "What? He wanted a past life reading. Like, how is that related to past life?" And then Archangel Michael said something like, "Well, you know, the people that need you will match your energy and they will come to you. So they may think that they want something else, but really what's in their best interest, you know, is what we're here for. We're here to help them in health and things, but like this needs to be taken care of first." And so, so that's like what I had to focus on before I could even focus on, you know, past lives or past timelines. So let me just catch up here on stuff that's going on. So Bree says, so you imagine it, what you're wanting to focus on, and if it's in the intention of healing, you'll be shown what it is, what you need to see. Yes. And also, like, we know what the inside of our hands look like. I mean, just look in a health book, it'll show you. And so I think imagining sort of what we already know will help you guys believe in yourself, and will help you guys eventually realize that you can just ask your body to show you things and it will show you things, and that you're not really imagining it because it's really there, type of thing. Tara says, when I call it Arcturian medical ship, they come in and I can sense and see third eye, the scanner. It looks like a big spotlight to me. That's really cool. That's very, very cool. Sometimes when they scan me, I can feel the beams of being scanned, but I didn't see anything like the light. So that's just so cool. I mean, that's another example of how we're all the same, and we experience things differently because we all have different gifts. And by putting all of our different gifts together, that's what's going to heal this world, I had something else come to mind too that, I was going to talk about when you get an implant. Let's just say you get a good implant, okay? Sometimes when they put them in, they're not quite figured for you. And I had a different term about with that earlier, but now it totally blew my mind. So they're not quite figured, and so they can like burn and they can itch, and you have to get them figured. If it's actually something you want, you have to get them figured for your body. You have to calibrate it. Thank you. Oh my God. Yes, you have to get them calibrated, and you can do this on your own. You don't need anybody to do this for you. All you have to do is, like, if you can reach it, you can just say, with the implant that I got, I call upon, again, my angels, my guides, my ancestors. I call upon God. I call upon my highest good, like things like that, to calibrate my chip, and it will calibrate it for you. Now, you obviously, if you get something that like you don't want to calibrate it, because then you have a harder time feeling it. And so and thank goodness, like that's kind of how it works for me. Like my body refuses them, and so like I think Amazing Grace said, was it your grandma had a big circle. I once had a blown up, like almost like a crop circle. It was really weird. Where it was a completely round circle with like dots all the way around it, and the dots were raised. And so you can train your bodies too, like just say, because it's your vehicle, right? You have to take care of your body, so your vehicle has to do what you do. Like if you turn left, your vehicle has to turn left. So if you say to your body, and you say, hey, if any of these chips or implants come in, can you warn me? Something like that. So you have to learn to work with your body. Bree says, what are your thoughts on how nanotechnology is actually being used on Earth and in public spheres? It's not discussed a lot yet, right? Okay. So I totally, nanotechnology, it's totally being used, and it's not discussed, and we could discuss that, because to me, in a way that is very much related to chips and implants. Let me give you an example. So the story about the guy who chipped me, right? He grabbed my hand and he energetically chipped me. Okay, so then I knew, I was a little hazy, but I kind of knew exactly what happened. And I was like, let me go get my husband. And even my husband said the guy was just acting really weird. The guy gave him a crushed power drink. You know how like you crush it, so like if there was stuff in the bottom, it doesn't come out. So he must have been holding the clipper with one hand, had one hand to shake, And this had all been planned out. And so, if for whatever reason we weren't going to let him in the house, if he didn't get the chips in, he would give this can to my husband. So what the can had in it, and my husband came and tossed it in the recycling bin. And I was sitting there doing emails and trying to focus on these chips, these implants, and trying to deactivate them and get them out. And all of a sudden my team said, the can. And I was like shouting to my husband who was working in the basement. And I said, hey, what did you do with that can? And before I could say anything, he said, yeah, I was thinking we need to get that can out of the house. So we took all the garbage out. The next morning, there was a hatch of gnats. Like, not even a hatch. I don't even know what to call it. It was like it was like swarms of just black masses all over, from the side of the house to the trailer, to the car, to the back door. It was massive amounts of just black swarms. And I'm pretty sure that was meant to hatch in the house, either to get them into the house or because there's bits of nanotechnology being used. They actually have like a mosquito that is like a computer chip, and the mosquito can like sting a person and they can insert the chip and whatever else they need. So, Lord knows, yeah, nanotechnology. We should put together a thing on that, Bree, because it's kind of creepy. It's kind of really, really, really creepy. I mean, that nanotechnology even goes into like the super soldier program. Yeah. Well, what? So, okay, I pulled some cards. And I still don't know if Morgellons is nanotechnology. That I'm not following because I don't know offhand what Morgellons is. Okay, so the cards that I pulled was the Luminous Warrior. Let me just make sure you guys can see this. Was the Luminous Warrior. And I think that's what we all are. Anybody who watches this, anybody who's watching this now, I mean, that's what we are. We're the fighting, we're the ones who like deal with the dirty crap, because we have to learn. We're on a fast track of learning, but also we have to learn how to dismantle this stuff so we can dismantle other people's stuff in the future when this comes up. And so we can be impenetrable in the future. Eventually we're going to get to a point where, like, they can't harm, they can't chip us. They can't do anything. But it's a hard, it's a hard path. And so the standstill, the 52 standstill, which is a 7, this is in relation to the only way that you're going to know if you are chipped is that you have to stand still. You have to take a moment and just stop and breathe. You have to get in touch with your body. And that's really the only way that you're going to know. And also the patience to work on it to get it taken out, right? Okay, and 21, The Gatherer. I'm pretty sure I know what this is about, but let me just double check. 21, which is a 3, a 7, and a 5. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, which is a 4. 21. Okay. So it says, before we cultivated grains, we collected the wild bounty of nature. The gatherer finds the abundant seeds, nuts, berries, and wild greens where the ordinary person sees only barren soil. Oh, so how perfect is this, you guys? So where the normal person only sees barren soil, we actually see what's going on, right? And we're able to not only like help plant the seeds, but cultivate the soil for a beautiful growth and a beautiful harvest. So the gatherer is the provider, the forager, and the gardener who collects roots and vegetables for the long winter when game is scarce. She does not hoard, trusting the bounty around her. So she shares, right? The invitation. Look at the resources you already have close at hand. This is the time of abundance. Everything around you is ripe and ready for harvest. Banish the notion of scarcity and have a limit. Banish the notion of scarcity that have limited your choices and colored your destiny. Pack your food for the winter and start with low-hanging fruit that is all around you. And I think, banish the notions of scarcity. You have to banish the notion that you either can't do this or you can't feel them, or that this chipping issue is not in your control. It's totally in your control. And who knows, like some of you may not be chipped. I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to use this as a scare tactic, but I do think that as light workers, we need to be aware that this is happening, if not to us, definitely to probably somebody that we know, you know. Let's see. Practice paying it forward and be thankful in advance of receiving. If you are in a scarcity mindset, open your heart and look beyond the current conditions. You will find that bounty being offered to you. Practice sharing, not hoarding. That's actually really good, because I think that's really important for our collective community. I'm going to start calling it that. I've been Bree and I and a couple others have been talking about our collective community and what we can do to help pay it forward for our community, and help teach and help just make better teachers, make more educated, more aware light workers. And so, still, if you guys have any ideas as what you think would be really good to help this along, to facilitate this, as I've said, I think we're going to start seeing some major testing going on, some major divides in groups. You're going to start seeing the light workers who have the mask on. Okay, that mask is going to fall off very shortly, and you're going to either feel it individually for the people that are around you, or you're going to see it. Somehow they're going to screw up, and you are going to be able to see what their true intentions are. And so I think that we're coming to a major fork in the road for all of us. And I don't know, like I just see us all like standing at this fork in the road, and you're going to have one group that goes this way and one group that goes this way. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with either choice, because it all ends up in the same eventually. But I guess my question to you then would be, do you want to, as long as you're here already and you have all this crap going on, wouldn't you want to push it as far as you can push it, learn as much as you can, remember as much as you can, be as wise as you can, be as loving as you can, be as caring as you can, and know that you're going to have some shitty times, just like opening that door. That was a tough lesson. It was really painful. Like when I went back into the kitchen and I was sitting there, it was really, really painful. I could feel, I'm glad we came back to this. I could feel them moving around in my hand. I could feel them connecting to my my nervous system. I could feel them connecting to my nerves. I could feel them sending like shoots of electricity down through. And so this wasn't a fast process. It's not like I got these implants and I got them out like 2 seconds later. That's not what happened. I worked on them all day. I decided that I needed help because I had one blob disappear and I was starting to feel better. But then if I would stop and I would stand, if I would stand still, if I would just stop and stand still, I could feel that they were still in there. And the longer I waited, because I kept thinking, I just need the energy to be able to do this. And I've been so exhausted lately. And I was thinking, I just need a nap first. I just need a nap. And then I'll have enough energy to get this taken care of. But it turned out I needed help. And I think that's the other thing in the lightworker field, to not feel like if you need help, you have to reach out to those that you trust that can help you, that are going to be willing to help you. Like I feel very confident that for most implants, most chips, I can remove, or I have my help of my teams, my guides, and the Arcturian medical ship to remove. But like, if I can't do it with their help, I have to pull in some other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I took a nap. I got up. I was still really exhausted. Like it zapped all my energy. And I knew that if I kept them in, the longer I kept them in, the crappier I was going to feel, and the more connected to my nervous system it was going to be. And, I didn't even want to think about the possibilities of what they could do once they were in my nervous system. And so I went to bed that night, and I had the talk with Takur, and she said, we've been notified about it. We're scanning you. We're going to get them out. And I could feel them as I was laying there before they had started the scan. I could just feel it pulsating. Like my elbow was just so sore, and it was pulsating up into my shoulder. And when I woke up the next morning, I said, the first thing I said was, "Are they out?" And she said, "Yes, they're out." And I couldn't feel them, and I couldn't see them, and everything felt back to normal because my two hands actually felt like two different hands. It was just a really bizarre feeling. And then, I said, what was that? And I didn't get an answer. And so now that I know that it was actually a test, and I still don't know what group did it. I'm still looking into it. So you just have to be patient. Like, the stuff doesn't just happen and you fix it, and like, it's a learning process, and you have to kind of maneuver with it and learn with it. And so next time when I hear my team say, "Don't open the door, don't touch him," I'm going to say, "Okay, we don't want to repeat next time." Right? And now I better know how to handle the situation. I better know how to at least dismantle them right away, and then I can get help getting them out. And so I know not to, wait so long. It just, like, I learned a lot from the experience. So it was a totally crappy experience, but I learned a lot. So I hope this has helped you guys a little bit. If you guys have questions, we can totally chat about them. I mean, that's why I'm here. Other than that, I think that, see, I just want to make sure I did everything. How they put them in, energetic, and they can put them in physically as well. And they can actually take you, they can actually take you to wherever in your sleep, either in your astral or in the Super Soldier program, in your actual 3D. I know it sounds crazy, but how can I put this? We're 99% water, right? So we're energy. So we emit waves and electricity. And like, I think when you think about us, when you think about how the human body is on a scientific, energetic level, you can see better how it is possible to match a frequency with, whatever computer thing you're trying to do to get it put in the energetic field. I think that's a little bit easier way to think about it. Because if you just think about it as, okay, so they have this chip, somehow they get it physically into your body, like it doesn't make sense. But yeah. So Teresa says, "This has been super helpful. Thank you." You are very welcome. You are very welcome. And also, I'm just trying to think, like, I am really enjoying this collective sharing thing. So you're very welcome. Thank you for talking about this. You guys are so welcome. Thank you for holding a space that I can talk about this, because this, to me, this is just really, really important, and it doesn't get talked about enough. And as you guys move forward, I want to have you think about this. When you talk about, like, when I was talking about how light workers who portray themselves as positive, And then you go to them for energy work and they can do negative things to you because you're opening your energy field to them, right? When you think about good energy versus bad energy, right? I mean, that's kind of archaic to think about that way, but like we're still there, right? We're still here on Earth. So we're gonna say good energy and bad energy. When they talk about like a wolf in sheep's clothing, when they talk about like the devil, I don't actually believe in the devil. I believe in like the historical. Anyway, we won't even go there. But like a lot of people think the devil would just show up and be like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm the devil. This is what's going to go on." But wouldn't it make more sense that those that want to throw you off your path, or those that don't have your best interests at heart, wouldn't it make more sense that they would put a mask on and be very beautiful and parade in front of you and make you want to be their friend and make you trust them, make you like them, and then eventually something happens and they show their real faces. I think that some light workers are seeing this wrong, where they see that, okay, if we feel a bad vibe from somebody, well, that person's not very good. And okay, well, that may be true sometimes. I think the ones that you really have to worry about are the ones that have that are right in there with everybody, pretending to be one of these people, but really have malicious intents. Like they're on missions. That's what mission work is. You can either be on a good mission or you can be on a mission to break somebody's good mission. I mean, everybody thinks their mission is good. There is no real good and bad. If we think about it, everybody thinks their mission is good. So regardless, it's just something to think about. Usually the guy showed up at my door like he was going to kill bugs. And he was a young adult, nice looking. And I mean, like they didn't really have, so the entity, so he was a walk-in. He was a walk-in. And basically the walk-in has to agree, the human has to agree to allow that walk-in ET alien AI thing into it. I mean, but this happens all the time and people don't realize it. So the thing is though, when these things happen, they don't quite act 100% human. They don't quite say the right human things. So the guy was like, and I find this really funny, and it was totally red flags at the time. He's like, so originally this is a $200 service, but I'm going to give it to you for $25 today. I was like, what? Really? $25? And then, he's got all these like pictures of these Googled bugs on his thing. And it's very childishly like laid out. And he's like, but we're going to focus mostly on the bees and the ants. So in my brain, I'm trying to process this as like, think about it in a galactic perspective. Think about it as like the bee collective, the ant collective. I have nothing against the bee collective. I love the bee collective. We need the bee collective. And the ant collective, I actually channeled them once. And I have nothing against the ant collective. Like the ant collective is actually pretty amazing to me. Once you get to know how ants function, like, do I want them in big numbers? No, not really. They kind of freak me out. But as far as how their communities function, it's so organized. It's so amazing to watch. There's on YouTube, there's this thing called, I think, Canada Ants or something like that. And there's this guy who just does videos on his ants and the different groups of ants and like what they do. And I have so much respect for them. And so why would I want to kill these ants? Like, I talk to my bugs all the time, like the spiders who make the webs. And I'm like, okay, your web's getting a little big now. Like, you're really not allowed to be here. You guys have this side of, a property of land. You can't be in the house. I do that all the time. Why would I want to come in and kill bugs? So red flag. Number two, humans don't that were $200 and they're going to give them to you for $20. Number three, you look into his eyes and you're like, oh, don't really think you have a soul, or you're definitely look human, so A plus for that, but there's still something wrong. So there's ways to look at this. Read the energy. The energy was super thick and very different. I don't even know if I can explain the energy. So there's ways to figure it out. But anyway, those are my stories. I deal with implants a lot more than I would like to deal with implants. But yeah, so thank you guys, and let's chat if you want to chat. Otherwise, we can call it a night. I don't know. We've been on for an hour and 30 minutes. Yes. Ree says, yeah, I like when we shine our light of our consciousnesses in the dark corners. It's illuminated. It becomes something we can deal with. Exactly. And it makes the whole planet stronger and ups the vibration of the whole planet just by doing that, just by talking about this stuff, just by talking about things that other people don't want to talk about. But it's all part of the whole Lightworker Collective. And if anything, if I can leave you guys with anything through this whole channel, it's about how being a Lightworker isn't all unicorns and butterflies. True Lightworkers learn, and they put what they've learned to the test, and they work with it so they can make the world better and for other people by taking their torches into dark places and cleaning all that crap out. And like, it's not always easy, but that's what we do, and that's what we're here for. So yeah, well said, Brie. Well said. This is great. This has been on my mind for Mom. This has been on my mind ever since this last one happened, because that was pretty brazen of them, I think. To show up at my door and then grab my hand, and like, I really should have kicked some ass, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I was talking about this. I was talking about this issue last night to Michael, to my God, Michael. And I was saying, like, here on Earth, we're these big souls, all of us. We're these massive souls with all these experiences. And we're super strong. Like, in our soul form, in our astral form, we're super strong. And then sometimes I feel like I'm here in this teeny, teeny, tiny body. You guys, I'm only if I'm 5'3", that's impressive. Like, I'm shrinking. I am so tiny. To have such a massive soul sometimes in these tiny bodies, and it's hard because you come here and you're constricted by what the human body can do. And I feel like overcoming that is just a feat in itself, right? Judgment weighs so heavily on us, however, discernment is a different story. Yep, that is so true. And as light workers, we have to get better at discerning. This is, I could preach on discernment all day, all day. So true. So true. And yeah, I don't know. The last couple of days, I've just been like, oh, it's one thing when I deal with stuff on an astral level, or I deal with stuff on my other timelines. It's different for me. It's personal because it's still me, and I'm still in that body on those timelines. But it's a little different because it's not in my 3D. Like, I deal with a lot of 3D galactic stuff every day, but I feel like them trying to put this on my plate with now thinking about having to deal with 3D chipping and 3D implants with my already like piled plate. Like, we all have piled plates, I just was like, how is this possible? Like, how can I Like I just feel really crappy about it. I feel like a little overwhelmed about it, but that's what they want you to feel, right? They want to keep you down. So they're like, oh, like now she's got to deal with this in 3D. So we have to get over that and we have to rise above that. And you're allowed to have your day or two of like being upset and wanting to totally kick ass in this little teeny tiny, 5-foot body. But then we have to rise above it and we have to get over it. And so I'm not one of those people who are going to sit here and tell you guys, oh, like that's a negative thing. Like we don't want to feel our emotions. No, we want to feel our emotions, because if we don't feel our emotions, it just gets all clogged up in our energy centers, and we'll have to deal with that at some point. And then we're going to turn out like the Zeta Reticula, and we want to change that timeline. So, we just don't want to go there. We have to do it. It's hard work, but we have to do it. And even the people like myself who are comfortable enough to tell you about their experiences, even we have hard days or hard times, or, where like we think, oh man, can it get any crappier than this? But we always find a way, because we never give up. We're fighters. We always find a way to flip the situation over and to rise above it. And, that's all that matters. Yes, Amazing Grace, we are totally vertically challenged. Bree says, discernment has been such a learning process for me, but it seems natural as we become more and more energy sensitive and expand our extrasensory perceptions. Yes. And that's what it is. Like, you always have such a way with words. I love it. That's what it is with learning about your body's energy, extending your extrasensory perceptions. So true. So true. I think it's kind of funny. I was just looking at this card, the Luminous Warrior. It's got these little circles. It's got more than 3, but this is actually kind of how they were. This is kind of how they were in my hand as well. There's one here, here, and here, and I see one's on his third eye. But yeah, that's what we are. We are Luminous Warriors. Okay, you guys. We will have to. If there's other topics, I am going to try and do a better job of being a better sharer of things that I feel are important that people should know about. I love sharing my experiences, and as long as I can share them and teach lessons or maxims, if you were in my 1904 one-room schoolhouse, we'd call them maxims, at the same time as I'm sharing my experiences, I'm going to do that. And I want to teach on more topics that I've had a lot of experience with, but that probably aren't talked about much. And so if there is something you guys would really like to learn more about, or at least learn my experiences with, or how I view it, you have to let me know. Okay. I want to do this because I want to make a strong collective. Let's make a strong collective. Let's do it. Okay. You guys are awesome for hanging in there. I'm going to shut this down, but before I go, I want to give you guys a blessing for tonight. And so that you illuminate your awareness of your energy and your body, and you can become the master that you are by remembering all this information that you already know, that we are just bringing back to you to toggle your memory, or the word toggle came from. And so my blessing tonight and my activation tonight is going to be to help you guys open up your discernment and your extrasensory perceptions, so that we can expand as a community and you can help heal yourselves and help heal the world. Uoshataya sa una iala akashataya suku ubushutiana. Hiasala ashu usuni itiata kuopa ata. Niala asha ku upobiashatiata sinaniata. Isi ku umanatia tuku ujiata taya ku ulana sayataya. Ia kapuana ta nasiatama. Sala ashata kiasanayata. Ia pahashanana. Ia sakuashana anata asatayata. Ia sanatiata. Ia sabuashata nathanasiataka. Alapuana yata. Ia ku umushtia sanale atioto bukiatania nasiale a kuashiata. Hasanayata wama iukutubia shatayanaka alatia. Kushi isi tiana hasa. Yala buona tiata ula anakiet tiatana. Yata ayasa uka ayata a. Hanalia buapapiaka anata. Yasa tiaka unata yasa nalahana. Yapasa. Waki amutuno siana. Atia hala yata ana. Ashanahana, Yala Sata, Yapaku uno Tiasala Anatia Kuunu Diatasa, Yamala Ana Sata Yakuana Sitili, Kushutayama Utia Taina Tatai. Taina Tieta Tatanata Yatonia Titia Tekla Uneta, no Yote Asset Utia, or Ayana Ya Ioani, O Ya Una, Yatele Anaseti, Opa Shina Tiatio, Yana Ya yo o ya ana ata ya osi aya ana yata. Ya kana hala iota usiata uya aya ana ya ua ana ya o ya ya asi ana hana aria o ya ana ya ana aya wasala anta hana kasata ya to buka ya ta ana ya ua ya ana yes ya ua ana ya ana ata aya ha hi hu ha Yasata aina shoto abua aku unu tiata sana ala atia o aya na ya na ya o aya yasana ata huapa ishati ano sutieto tena yata ana yasepo o aku ashi yata hana ya le ana yata wasitiana siata ala hana yata ya ku ushu tiata na la pia o aya ya i a u aya tasana yasana ala mahala namaste. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. Much love, many blessings, and we will talk to you soon.